Before we begin, two messages. What mobile platform do companies like eBay, NBC Universal, the Los Angeles Times, Razorfish, and PayPal use to build their cross-platform native applications? Titanium by Appcelerator. They aren't alone. There are now over 25,000 apps deployed by Appcelerator, which has been called the Rosetta Stone of app development. And you can start now for free. Just go to www.appcelerator.com for more information. When my company needed to develop a key mobile product, one that I was counting on as a new source of revenue, I knew exactly who to turn to. Macadamian. They delivered on time with incredible attention to detail, and I was able to get product into customers' hands faster than I ever thought possible. I've personally known them for 10 years, and they do make great products even better. Check them out at www.macadamian.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to untether.tv. I'm your host and the founder, Rob Woodbridge. This is where we bring you these great conversations with people who are, reshaping our landscape because of the mobile industry. And today, I love doing this, a repeat guest, and I only have the best for repeat guests. So those of you, no offense to those who haven't been repeats, I just obviously can't get through to you, right? Because all 330 interviews that I've done here are great, and I'd love to have you all on again. This time, it's Anne Frisbie, who is a VP and Managing Director for InMobi. And InMobi is one of the world's largest independent mobile advertising networks. That's one of the planet's largest, I would say, independent advertising, mobile advertising network. And we are here to talk about something that is about to happen. This is very topical, very timely, because we're about to enter Black Friday, whatever it is. We're entering the shopping season, and I really want to understand what mobile's impact is going to have on the shopping season. Now, that's from a consumer standpoint as well as from a retailer standpoint, and how these things are going to have an impact on what we buy, where we buy, and how much we pay for this, and where that revenue is coming from. Is it new revenue? Is it just taking from the old and redepositing into the mobile space? All those questions we're going to hopefully try to get to as a result of this survey that InMobi did, that they just released in the middle of November. Timely, topical, Christmas, spending, lots of cash. Hopefully you're saving some. And welcome back. Really glad you could do this.
I'm very excited to talk to you again.
I love having people back because a few things happen. One is that it means that the industry's healthy, that, the last time we spoke was in July, and you guys have kind of blown up in a great way since then. But I love the fact that, it's been 6 months and the company's still around and growing and profitable. It gives me hope that this industry will stick and that these companies that I'm talking to will actually flourish. And so why don't we give a quick update about what's happened with InMobi? How are you guys doing?
Sure. So InMobi has made a lot of changes since July. I'm trying to even think about how big we were in July.
Not as big as you are now.
Not as big at all. So some big things have happened since then. We acquired a company called Sprout. Yep. That has the best HTML5 ad creation tool out there, and we're really making a footprint in the area of creative and HTML5 and immersive brand experiences. We raised $200 million from SoftBank.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
That was kind of a big event, and that was the largest mobile internet investment that's happened to date in the world. So super happy about that, and we think we can bring a lot of additional benefits to our customers across the board. And we've certainly grown as a company across all regions. We now have more than 15 different offices in the globe. So we now have people on the ground, for example, in as far away places as Beijing and Nigeria. So lots of new markets all around the world. Paris, we have an office in Paris and Sydney. And we now have close to 450 people at the company. So definitely growing in big strides. And here in North America, we have opened an office in New York, Chicago, and we're looking for space in LA. So
what about Ottawa? Good old Ottawa.
No, actually, I am looking at Canada. So, hopefully we'll put someone up there.
Well, I think when we last spoke, we had talked about that InMobi was I'm not going to use late, but was new to the North American market compared to a lot of the incumbents. And then it was kind of like bang bang. You brought it. You started buying companies, $200 million in investment, and then all of a sudden you're not so late to the game anymore. You are the game ultimately. Pretty incredible what's happened in the 6 months. I'd like to say that it's as a result of being on Untether.
You think that's a good word?
Yeah. So now with this, what if we talked about you guys came out with this great report about Thanksgiving being the greatest Thanksgiving to date in the mobile space when it comes to mobile commerce, mobile shopping. I think that's something that we expected to happen. Every year it's been kind of incrementally better, but even last year. Black Friday was one of the biggest shopping days in mobile, as well as biggest shopping days in bricks and mortar. But do you see this tide changing now because of the ubiquity of mobile and what seems to be mobile shopping and mobile commerce?
Yes. I mean, so we did a mobile shopping study about a year ago, and I was super surprised by the results in terms of consumer satisfaction levels with the shopping experience, because I have to say in mobile you have a lot of smart people and we're very hard on ourselves because we can see how much further we have to go and how much more potential there is, right? And yet when you ask consumers, they were already in most categories preferring mobile as a channel over PC laptops for shopping, preferring it. And in the other ones, it was at least equal, right? So once people are using mobile shopping, and they actually had really high satisfaction levels, and it was being driven by the fact that the device itself is so convenient for people to use in their busy lives to get done these shopping experiences and to bring with them into the stores. And I always think about getting my purchases done when I wash my car, right? So I have been surprised, and I think the growth of shopping really does reflect how valuable this channel is for consumers in being able to make their purchase decisions.
We've heard a lot of talk from some of the big guys that are enabling this, like PayPal and eBay. I mean, they're one and the same, but separate. And Amazon getting into this game about with Kindle Fire. But really, what they're talking about this shopping season, right after American Thanksgiving, before and after American Thanksgiving, is that the amount of dollars flowing through the mobile channel is incredible. And I got to ask, do you think that where's the impact of this? Is this net new money, or is it shuffling from the web and a little bit from bricks and mortar, and that's what we're seeing in mobile right now, or is it net new revenue?
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's just new dollars out there, right?
Oof, I mean, they don't. Come on, I'd love to see that.
You even have some economic challenges, right, in lots of parts of the world, and in other parts you don't have challenges. But regardless, consumers have an amount of money they can spend, right? But what I will say is, I think that consumers are getting smarter with their dollars. And they have more access to information because of mobile. Right. And it does mean that retailers have to service more intelligent customers that are able to look at the options out there before they make a decision, if it's not a immediate gratification kind of decision process. And even when it's immediate, I think people are just armed with a lot more information, right, from media and from mobile being with them. So I think it's really trying to get retailers to, and I think there is an impact. I mean, I will say our research does show that there's probably an impact on the PC web for sure, in terms of being a potential replacement channel for some of the activities that you've typically done on your laptop. So I think there's both impacts, right? One, we're just talking about a new channel, new, easier information. Consumers will be smarter. Make sure you work in that way with your most valuable customers that are these multi-channel customers. And two, I think there is inevitably there is cannibalization on laptops with mobile devices. At least that's InMobi's perspective on it.
So, I mean, you went out, and what was the hope that you would find from doing this? Was there a methodology behind this? Was there a reason to go out and poll this?
being able to talk to you.
Nice.
So,
If you're looking for excuses, I'm always here all by myself waiting for people to call. you know.
I think there's a couple things. I mean, we love mobile, right? And are super excited about what it can bring to customers. And one thing I think that is nice, and this is my general perspective, and I think it does drive a lot that we do at InMobi. We do fundamentally believe that mobile can lead the industry in a lot of new ways in how to, it, from a consumer life standpoint, right, as well as a digital media standpoint, that it's fundamentally changing the world. And that, mobile, at least in the US, right, mobile is not going to just be a follower when it comes to previous digital media opportunities like laptops. And if I think about where mobile is already leading today, and where it has potential lead, I will say that in the area of shopping and commerce, that's certainly one of the two or three biggest areas I see where, mobile's in a position to really leapfrog how important it is in changing consumers' lives when it comes to shopping experience, right? And really taking a front seat, a mobile first seat, even in developed markets, to the laptops.
Yeah, well, I would say that, they talk about mobile being that third screen, but really in shopping, it's become the first screen. And whether you've got a smartphone on you when you're out in the stores or shopping, or you're sitting back on your couch reclining with a tablet, really what we've seen very quickly is the shift from the traditional PC, and I'm pointing to my laptop here, where it's sedentary and you have time to do the research. Oftentimes, I find myself in a store with two products in my hand. And then, same specs, same price, and I don't know which one to buy. And the sales guy doesn't know. He's just going to offer an opinion. So I go out to the greater world through my iPhone and find out which one I should buy. And that's how influenceable I am, I guess, when it comes to product decision making. But that's everywhere these days.
Yeah, and I think tablets, you bring up a very good question right on tablets, which is, I think a lot of research is coming back that, your biggest use of tablets is in the evening, and that it may be an additional screen to the television, yep. Right? So, we're talking about cannibalization of laptops, but how does this new lean back, you're very open to influence device that is potentially a device that you're doing in part when you originally were watching the television, how does that affect, marketing and what retailers should be doing?
You're right there, because I was certainly around when I've been around for a long time, and around the concept of interactive television, where I think Microsoft tabled this maybe in the mid-90s, where you would see a shirt on the actor on the television show, and you'd be able to click to buy, and what you're but there was that big divide between your couch and the television. You can't walk up and touch the screen, so it was kind of. How do you do that? So people started plugging PCs and other auxiliary things in, and shopping devices and all these kind of things to try to get you to buy from the television direct. And really, what ended up happening is these things came along, and yeah. I just read recently that eBay is now created an application, an iPad application that kind of, this is where it's going. It sources the time of day, pulls in the TV guide, and kind of assumes what shows you're watching at that time, and says, oh, the example they had is Vancouver Canucks hockey, right, versus the Chicago Blackhawks hockey game playing at that time, and it started showing merchandise for right. Vancouver Canucks shirts that you could buy right from your iPad right through this app. And so we've created that bridge, right, for commerce to.
Oh my gosh, that commerce. Just brings up so many things I want to say. Like it just has to jump in.
Bring it.
So and this is slightly tangent, though I think you brought up so many good points. Right, is like if I think about the creative side. So I talked a little bit about Sprout, so it's slightly off shopping, but these rich immersive experiences, right, that are really around like the gamification of brands and bringing in this content and creating this app-like experience for advertising. In ways, one of the things that we're looking at is, consumers now want that content, right? So that it's really an ad, but the content about your brand and whatever it is, it may be content you can buy, right? It could be books, it could be movies, right? It could be digital content you can purchase. They want to be able to take that content with them no matter where they are on every single device. And how do we, in our own creative initiatives and R&D, how do we empower that to happen?
Hmm.
And, retailers, I think, have been faced with this concept of multi-channel customer, right? But now it's almost like it's on steroids, right? It's not, it felt very boxed, right? It's like, oh, the guy is on his laptop at work, right, in the corner, and now he's in my store, right? And now you have this concept of like, no, break all the walls, down. The guy's on his phone and he's in the store, or he's on television, he's on his iPad, or, he wants to take the content he wants to buy from you, and he wants it shipped to this other device over here so he can watch it when he wants,
right,
how he wants it, right? So this, I think a lot of things have, we used to have this simple funnel process, right? Everyone talks about, the funnel process for shopping, right? You first become aware of a product and then you buy the product at the end. But now a lot of people talk about it's really just this endless virtual cycle, and the speed at which people can go back into the previous phase or the future phase of that funnel is immediate, right?
So true.
And so anyway, I think your example is super relevant in terms of just how this is really fundamentally changing everyone's life, and ultimately how you as a brand or a retailer, react to that.
So, I mean, it's so fundamental, the shift that's happening. I think I read somewhere that that Paramount. You start to see people getting into this. Is it a mobile commerce piece, or my concern is always that we're doing things in commerce and purchasing, and from a retailer's perspective, just because we think we can, as opposed to creating enough value. I'm just trying to find this story. Is that Paramount wants to figure out how to create create a mobile experience so you can purchase tickets through your mobile device, and I think that it's a natural transition. But we've seen this already, and my feeling on something like that is like it's cannibalizing your other markets, right? You're not attracting new customers. So I see that we're in that really early phase, which is like you can buy it online, but it'll hurt some other piece, because I'm not going to buy that shirt or that song from iTunes or on my desktop, or in a record store. I'm going to buy it through my mobile.
We've exactly been talking to Paramount about this, right? And how, so, we created a pretty immersive experience for them on one of their upcoming films, right? And it's this amazing experience. You go into a world, essentially, and, there's so much potential in that creative. But how do you then marry that with getting someone, the butts in seat, right? Getting someone to actually make a decision at that time, right? And in their busy lives, when they don't plan anything ahead anymore. Yeah. I mean, this is what this Michael Rosenberg at MMA LA Forum was talking about. No one plans 2 weeks ahead to go to a movie, right? It's like 3 hours. 3 hours from now, what am I doing? And how do you use this convenient device to get that to translate? And we are looking at some new ad formats that really take advantage of better geolocation and location-based advertising. And I think if we can marry that with these immersive experiences, at least when it comes to kind of ticket buying, right, there's a real opportunity there to change the way that people make these decisions, right, and do that from a mobile device.
Well, is it about ticket sales, or is it about creating a longer relationship? So this article that I read,
and it is hard to marry those, right? I mean, I would agree, right? Are you measuring how much time they spend on the brand and whether they can recall that they know that this is coming out, or is it only about the end of the process? And how do you get both of those kind of calls to action involved at the same time, right? And does that decrease your success on both to such an extent that it's not useful, or can you marry them right? And I think if you can take that experience, right, that enables it such a great experience to understand where the movie's playing near you and make it super easy that this can get done, that you may have an additive process instead of a process that makes both calls to action not work, right? Because at least in mobile, one of the things we see, you can't put 5 things in.
No.
You need to focus on giving the consumer something that moves them in the direction you want to move them.
Well, one of the things that I love, whether it's your influence or not on Paramount, is the fact that they looked at deal pushing when you're walking by a theater and pushing some way of bringing you from the sidewalk into the movie theater. But as they quickly realized that, listen, going to a movie is a 2 or 3 hour commitment. This is not something arbitrary. Like I'm walking down the street. Like the same thing with I've seen car retailers do this as well. You're walking down the street and, hey, would you like to come in for a test drive? It's like, well, no, never would have considered that. I'm just trying to get into the bus stop. But it's at least they moved away from that, trying to entice somebody off the street to come to a movie. They had enough common sense to realize that, listen, that kind of commitment probably not going to happen at whim.
But besides shopping and creative, I tell you, you're touching on probably the other thing that I think is going to put mobile in the leading position, right? Which is around local, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at least and we're in the display business on the search side now. You're approaching close to 50% of all the searches in mobile relate to something local. The expectations is that local revenue in mobile will surpass localized revenue, right? So this is a whole, fundamental shift of how you learn about what's happening in your environment by the device that's with you in that environment. And I think, if I was to name 3 areas, I think mobile can really change the digital media landscape. I mean, shopping is clearly one, and we'll continue always to put out information on shopping, which is, what the release on Black Friday and Cyber Monday relate to. But I think creative experiences and local are probably some of the 2 other biggest areas where I think mobile is a very unique device.
Oh man, I'm right there with you, Anne. It's an incredible thing, but we're all struggling right now. And I think that's what the industry is trying to figure out is, okay, how do I, what's that perfect spot, as you're describing, between having a customer buy something, but and also creating a longer term relationship with the brand to be able to, because it's not just the one ticket that Paramount should want to sell. It's the relationship with Paramount, so that whenever Paramount releases something, or there's a special or something, they can go and communicate with them to create a longer, deeper relationship. So it's new money as a result of, or new revenue as a result of mobile, not just cannibalizing from something else.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that the sales of laptops in general to consumers, like the rate of growth doesn't look strong.
No.
And I think tablets, we expect that to become a much more important shopping channel and a much more important channel for mobile. And right now you see very strong results in terms of conversion rates on tablet devices for retailers. I think tablets represent reaching consumers when they actually have time to think about you, True. And it's such a nice experience. The shopping experience is so beautiful. You tend to do it not out of drudgery, right? And it tends to make you buy things that maybe you wouldn't buy. So maybe there are components there that are additive, right?
And people are getting inventive, and we're gonna come we'll go over the survey in a second. But companies are getting so inventive now in the mobile space, and this is what I love, especially around retail. Zappos, instead of creating a new app for the holiday season and confusing it with their existing app, they created a magazine just for the new iOS magazine rack, so that they're one of 30 magazines now that are available instead of one of 750,000 apps that are available. Like that kind of stuff is, you can buy right from the magazine, but it's a different way. It's a different type of catalog or a different kind of app, and that kind of stuff gets me very excited because it's creatively changing the way that we buy. And as you said, you combine that with the experience, the layback experience or sit-back experience of a tablet with this magazine. It's packaged in a beautiful way.
It also shows how disruptive this revolution is, though, right? Because, you think about, the brick and mortar gaming stores, right, that are basically, saying, hey, we're not going to hit expectations to the street, right? And the reality is mobile has become a big channel for buying and playing games, right? You think about bookstores, and obviously you've had a lot of large bookstores have to close, or music stores, right? And these devices are becoming a conduit for that content. And yet you hit on a whole other area of disruption, which are some of these devices like tablets actually huge replacements for print and the new generation of print, right? So I think, I'm always amazed with, maybe Americans are just positive. I mean, I think we generally would like to believe that mobile is very additive and that there's no cannibalization and, isn't it a great new thing and there's no, nothing's going to decline. Yet when I look around, I say, wow, this is certainly having huge impact already in people's businesses. And, is not every winner in the previous revolution, right, is going to be the new winner in this revolution. And whether that's a retail brand or a digital brand, they're going to have to adopt and be strong in this channel as well to survive.
And it's, and the results of what you're talking about around this survey coming into the holiday season are exactly that. Is that if you didn't know beforehand, if you didn't realize that what the retail or the consumer behavior and how that impacts your business, this is going to be one of those times. And I just have this mental vision of Black Friday or not Cyber Monday, but even Black Friday. Retailers opening the door and there's nobody there because everybody's heads are down, tapping away on their iPhone.
That's not happened yet.
But is that coming? When you talk about, what's the stat that you said, like 45% of consumers are doing price comparisons versus 22% a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's another thing that drove satisfaction in mobile devices is that people really are increasingly wanting to be able to do price comparisons, and it may be a reflection of the economy, right? And that it's really necessary for people to be smarter with their money.
Mm-hmm.
And this device does provide a lot of easier ways to do that. So, I mean, I'm always just shocked, and the numbers are quite large already. So this is in the U.S. marketplace, right, where we're saying 60 million consumers over this holiday weekend are going to use their mobile devices for shopping, right? And I feel like at least, for those who have been in the mobile industry for a while, and I think a lot of advertisers saying this, we used to say, when is smartphone penetration going to be large enough, or are people going to get used to this channel enough that they'll actually do something on it besides make phone calls? And now I think the adoption and the addiction and the love for these devices is so large that you now have, you don't have those questions like, should this channel be important, and how do, people know they need to figure it out. And, you see that impact in terms of how many people are using it already for a lot more than, even just apps, right? A lot, to run their lives, right?
So, I mean, big picture when we look at this is that, so we know that Thanksgiving, we know that what's about to happen in the holiday season is going to be massive, and it's just going to carry on. But do you think that this has, I'll just take a step back and frame the picture, is that everybody talks about Best Buy and some of these larger companies being the showcase, or the, basically the place to go and touch the product before you go buy it online. And it's become that place you go touch the product before you scan in the barcode and see where you can get a better deal. Or it's, as what I do, it's price comparison or product comparison to see which one I'm going to buy based on, the consensus in the ether that this is the better product. So mobile has started to, I don't think that there's this kumbaya feeling where if I walk into a Best Buy and I buy the product that I was looking at on Amazon, I'm pretty sure Best Buy is thinking not happy thoughts at that moment. And but are you start to see that cannibalism of offline shopping, bricks and mortar, versus this mobile thing, or can they live together?
Well, they've been living together, right, for 15 years now, or with the laptop. So, and certainly we see in categories that, I talked about a preference for shopping on mobile versus the laptops, but in all categories. So we a year ago had looked at this shopping category as well, and we had looked at apparel, consumer electronics, ticketing, and I think it was games, or did some kind of digital goods, but it could be gaming or other types of content, videos. And besides the gaming, video, digital content space, where definitely the preferred channel was mobile,
sure,
way over laptop, way over in-store, right? So, I mean, I just don't think it's going to make sense to have stores in a lot of those categories. Reality was in apparel and consumer electronics and ticketing, less so in ticketing, but certainly stronger in apparel and consumer electronics. By far, the number one preferred shopping channel was in store, right? So even though mobile is a preferred channel over the laptops, right, you still have a very strong desire for people to be able to go and feel the fabric, try on the clothes, right, feel the electronics, maybe ask questions to the retail folks there, but I have a feeling that there's a lot of room for improvement. Because the information online now is so powerful that you've got to figure out how much you're going to invest in training those people, right? So, but nonetheless, I don't think, in-store sales are clearly not going away. But I think even for those sales, you have to look at how the mobile process influenced them. And, you talk about Best Buy. I mean, I think, Sprout has certainly done mobile campaigns for them with great creative that really linked a message through mobile and tied it back into the stores, right? And we've seen similar things with a lot of other brands out there that are retailers. So I think you can actually take advantage of it, and you have to figure out how to, treat these multi-channel customers in the right way that enables them to take advantage, make it easy for them to execute the purchase however they want.
Right.
And whether that's in store or online or through mobile devices. But anyway, so that's kind of what we see.
It's I mean, I love it. It's so. When you stand back and you look at this industry, you think, okay, well, look, those retailers, all they have to do are these three things in order to be able to fix this problem, and those three things are quite elaborate, And I think this is that beginning of those three things. When you got Walmart coming online with their apps and being able to purchase, and Walmart was certainly a pioneer in a lot of the electronic and digital inventory management and certainly about driving prices down. And now they're going to get into mobile, and you've got Amazon, which is a behemoth in the retail space, moving into this, recreating the store window with their tablet.
Yeah.
But based on the results that you've got from the survey, the top areas are always telling about where we are versus where we want to be. I still think we're in an augmented reality space where I can throw an avatar of myself up and take a look at what I look like in the clothes, and then buy those clothes and have it drop shipped all from my a projection, a holographic projection from my cell phone. We're not there yet, because the number 1, number 2, and number 3 areas and number 4 areas, which are pretty much closely tied, are updates on sales and promotions, which is basically a flyer, local store hours and directions, which is basically what I would do, typically now, product information and availability, and product photos. So,
exactly. Well,
I wish we were so far advanced. The reality is that we're as a consumer base, we're really not that far advanced when it comes to real mobile commerce and transactions, are we? We're getting there.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I mean, from a consumer standpoint, right? A third of people are intending to make the purchases directly on their devices over this weekend for mobile devices. So that it was like 36%, I think. So while I think the consumers are demanding this multi-channel support, which is what you're highlighting, right? If I want to go to a store, I want to know how to get there, right? If I want to see a photo on the device and then make the purchase on the device, let me see that, right? Let me get your app so I have a permanent relationship with you and get back to you when I'm ready on my time. Right? I might have seen an ad for you, but it's not when I want to engage with you. So I think that in-control driver's seat and the fact that you want, we were talking about the content, where you want it, when you want it, all the time, right? It's the same with this purchase and purchase decision process. And I'm not sure from a marketing standpoint if it matters. I mean, it does matter, but if consumers think ultimately they had made that decision on their device and they decide to drive to the store, right? It's not that far-fetched from just making the purchase on the device, right? You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, it's a small step.
Yeah, and I mean, so anyway, I'm still shocked that you have 21 million people over this coming weekend. This is about the estimate, that are planning to make these purchases from the device itself.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right? Even when you're supposedly on holiday and you have time to go to the store down the street. And we definitely see a huge spike in usage on every holiday. And I expect we'll see the same thing this weekend.
I mean, I would expect the same thing. And 21 million perspective for everybody out there. It's a big number, but that's 2/3 the population of Canada, right?
We're back to Canada.
Of course, I have to bring it back to Canada, right? Is it? I mean, that's the size of the population that are about to go and buy or do a direct purchase on the mobile device, and I love that. It gets me very excited when you start to think about the paradigm shifts that we're going under. And this is, we've always talked about this is the year of the mobile, and 2011 has kind of.
We don't even talk about it anymore, Rob.
I know, but you know what? I don't even think that 2011 is not the year of mobile, and I don't think 2012 will be either. But 2013 for me is going to be that year where we're not even talking about mobile anymore. Like, we're going to have shed this concept of a smartphone. We're not going to be talking about tablets or PCs. We're going to just be talking about connectivity. And it's going to be so seamless to buy. It's going to be so seamless to research or watch or see or view or do whatever we need to do or get to places that, mobile will disappear because it'll be always on. And smartphones, that term should just be gone as well. But we're a little ways away.
And I think it's very, people, I will say on the brand side, right? I mean, if you're spending in mobile, people don't ask now, what's the smartphone penetration, right? They just execute the mobile buy. They don't ask, why should I spend in mobile? They ask, can you help me with how best to spend in mobile? Right. So I think that you're in that transition period. And I agree still that, why I'm really focused on this concept of how does mobile really set a new bar for marketers and for consumers, beyond what's existed before, right, and leading in that role, is because I think we've gone from, why do you even exist? Do I really have to pay attention to you? Are you going to go away? To, oh, wow, this is exciting. We love it. We need to do it. We need to participate. How do I do it? And, having buyers want to be further ahead of where they are to do that well, right? To now hopefully being in a position where, at least I see in a few areas, we can say you can do this better in mobile than you can in any other digital media channel. And it's really important to consumers, and it's a great experience for the marketers. So hopefully we'll get to that point.
Well, we will. It's evolution that we're seeing here. I gotta ask, so if you're going into this season as a retailer, and you're looking at these things, like you're looking at the influence that mobile is having. And we didn't prep this, and hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot, but I'm very interested to know. Is there any advice that you could hand off to retailers who are kind of looking at this and saying, "Oh, yeah, mobile for the holiday season. This is a pretty big thing." How do they step up their game? How do they start with this kind of stuff? Because it's big.
First, I would really make sure you have mobile optimized experiences for consumers. I think that's more important for consumers accessing your content from mobile devices, from phones themselves, versus tablets. You can probably still leverage a PC web interface in the tablet space. So I think there's optimization to happen from there. But I think in terms of how critical that is, you could probably first start on the phone side and make sure you really have an experience that doesn't completely break. I might say something along the lines of, let's make sure that, it doesn't represent your brand so poorly that people are frustrated with it, right? So you can get through the process. And then the second thing is, you got to realize that the major digital channel during holiday seasons, right, during the evenings, during the holidays, right, is mobile. People are not, I'm not going to be on this laptop talking to you, Rob.
What?
During the American, I love that the American Thanksgiving.
Yep.
But I will have my iPhone. So I think that, if you're going to do marketing on your promotions, on your sales, on what you have to offer consumers in the holidays, why they should spend their holiday budgets with you versus someone else, you should really spend that in mobile, and, spend it with InMobi or not. But I think you really see the usage on the consumer side, right? You really see people, they're not at home. They are untethered. And as a result, if you want to reach them, you should really leverage this channel as much as you can.
Yeah, and here. I can't reinforce what you say any more other than, this whole channel, untether.tv, is for that reason, which is to help you guys get enabled and move towards this mobile world. Because whether you like it or not, retailer, consumer, grandparent, or child, this is coming, and it's something that you have to embrace if you want to participate. And man, certainly InMobi, it doesn't hurt that you guys are a global company and the world's largest independent mobile advertising network.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It's been nice talking to you.
So okay, now how do people find out more information? They just go to inmobi.com and they'll find all this. They'll find all your research.
They will. In fact, I would also say if you want a lot of insights, go to inmobi.com/research, and you can sign up for any one of our. Well, you can actually download any one of our reports. So I think they're probably up there still as a mobile shopping study we did. And it has a lot of our network research. So it has a lot of different findings, but you can also look in press releases on our Thanksgiving 2011, study on what consumers are going to do this weekend on their phones.
Can't wait. I can't wait to see after what happens when all of this is tallied up. Does it all live up to the hype, and what's the net on all of this? Because I think it's going to be pretty substantial, and I think we can safely say that 2011 is the year of mobile for Thanksgiving 2011. And Black Monday and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and then into the holiday season. This has been great, Anne. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for doing this. Again,
it's been nice to chat with you.
I've been speaking with Anne Frisbie. She is the VP and Managing Director for InMobi North America. Go to inmobi.com or inmobi.com/research if you're interested in all the research that they've done, and go and learn. And if you're a retailer out there looking to get involved in the mobile space, lots of research up there. Whatever you do, whoever you use, just go and do it. Go and start, because this is going to be something that's very impactful for your business. And if you don't start now, well, it might be too late. I'm not saying anything, but mobile has that power. I'm just saying. And thank you for doing this. Folks out there who are watching and listening, wherever you may be, whatever you are doing, I really appreciate you taking a moment and participating with me and Anne on untether.tv. And I will look forward to doing this again next time. Thanks very much. Thanks, Anne.